Welcome to Podcast Editing Basics with Audacity. This is part 2 in a series. In this part, I'm going to talk about cutting and silencing audio, two key tools in our toolbox of editing audio, editing podcasts with Audacity. So to start, let's review some of the concepts we learned in the previous video. Those were zooming and selecting. We talked about with zooming how we can move between zooming into a section of audio, zooming back out. We did that through either pressing the keyboard using Control 1, Control 2, or Control 3 on Windows, or Command 1, Command 2, or Command 3 on Mac. We also saw we could do that through the menu, or View, Zoom, Zoom in, Zoom normal, and Zoom out. We also have the option of using the toolbar to do the same things, with the magnifying glass of plus to zoom in, magnifying glass of minus to zoom out, and we can toggle zoom as well. So we can use the toolbar or use the menu or use the keyboard to do different things to zoom in and out, looking at different parts of a track or different parts of any one track in a multi-track project. We also talked about selecting, which is a key fundamental concept of editing within Audacity. Using the cursor, and especially using the selection tool up here, we select some section of audio, clicking and then dragging either left to right, or if we prefer, right to left. When we do that, the audio position updates, telling us where we started and stopped, as well as the start and end of the selection, in this case 5.72 and ending at 9.85, over here to over here. And every time we place the cursor, this just changes, showing us the current audio position and the start and end of a selection. Building off that, in this video, we want to start to use those selections to start to edit this audio. Remember in the previous video, I talked about how we listen to audio in a linear fashion, left to right within Audacity, but we edit in a non-linear one. We can jump to different parts within a track and edit those in different ways. So let's start to do that. If I place the cursor over here around audio position of 4.0, click and drag left to right, to include roughly 2 seconds of audio from 4.0 to 6.0. So I've selected this audio for editing. Now I mentioned in this video I'm going to talk about cutting audio. Now when we hear the term cutting as it applies to audio and video editing, it actually means a number of different things. It doesn't just mean in the computer sense of cut, copy, and paste, although I will talk about that. It also can mean removing audio from our existing track. So we want to talk about both of those concepts at the same time. Cutting, copying, and pasting, or just simply removing it and not using it again. Let's start with cutting, copying, and pasting. So we're using this within a computer system and within an operating system. If we were writing a text file and messing with some text, we could select the text and then either cut, copy, or paste it. So we also have those options within Audacity. I've had this selected right here within this. I can, using the toolbar, use the scissors to cut it, place the cursor somewhere else, change the audio position, and then use the clipboard icon to paste it there. Notice each time that the length of this track changed. It either reduced when I cut or went back when it pasted. So when we pull out some audio, the track length will also change, something to be made aware of. So we can use the toolbar to cut, to copy, or to paste. We also have the same options from the edit menu. Just like we were zooming, we can also use the menu to do the same thing. Going to edit, we see we can cut, delete, copy, paste, or duplicate. Notice it also has the corresponding keyboard shortcuts. Command X to cut, Command C to copy, or Command V to copy using a Mac, or in this case on a Windows, Control X, Control C, or Control V. Notice Audacity also adds Control X to delete on a Windows, Command X to delete on Mac, or Control D to duplicate some audio selection within Windows, or Command D to duplicate some audio selection on Mac. So we can either use the toolbar, the keyboard, or the edit menu to do the same thing. 3 different ways to approach this. Just like we were using zooming, we can zoom in and out either using the keyboard, view, zoom, or use the toolbar to do the same thing. 3 different approaches for however we want to do it. So we saw if we edit audio, it pulls it out, and if we paste audio, it puts it back somewhere else, wherever the audio position is, whatever we put that cursor within that audio track. Sometimes we just want to delete audio. The audio is bad, a recording went wrong, something happened, we just don't need it, for whatever reason we have. So I've currently selected some audio, and in this case, using the edit menu, I can come down to delete, Control K within Windows, and simply remove it from this audio. Okay, I've reduced the overall length of this track, it's moved down, and it's deleted. I've deleted this audio. This is different from cutting, copying, or pasting. I've just simply removed it. I don't actually want to save it, I don't need it, cut it, right? Well, say I've made a mistake. Say I cut this audio, I deleted it, but I actually need it back. Well, as long as Audacity is running, it is keeping track of the operations you're doing, so you can also undo or redo actions. So within the edit menu was also at the top the last action I took, so I could undo that delete, and it would put it right back. So if we run into an issue, we need to undo a delete, we can also do that as well. If I was like, no, actually, I definitely want it gone, I could redo the delete, and it would take it back out. So Audacity is watching what you're doing, and as you're editing audio, it's keeping track of it and allowing you to undo or redo certain actions with cutting audio, applying to both cutting, copying, pasting, and deleting audio. Finally, let's talk about silencing audio. That will be the last thing within this video. Sometimes you want to save the current length of the track, but you want to sort of get rid of audio. In that case, you actually want to silence the current selection. So if I'm selecting some audio, say from 8.0 to 13.0, I actually don't need any of this in this track, but I want to keep the length. Sometimes we want to silence audio instead. We do that following a similar way. Right past the scissors, and within that same toolbar, is another option called Silence Audio Selection. Control L on Windows or Command L on Mac. Silences that current audio. This is incredibly useful for multi-tracks within podcasts. If you have multiple speakers, sometimes you want to select the other tracks, silence those, and just allow a single speaker on a single track to be heard within that audio project. A very useful option and tool to have within podcast editing in Audacity. So in this video, I've covered 2 different concepts for manipulating audio. Cutting audio, which we know is cutting, copying, and pasting, as well as silencing audio. Again, a very useful skill to have and tool within our toolbox. Both of those we see we can do using either the toolbar or the keyboard shortcut for them. We also saw with editing audio, especially cutting, copying, pasting, deleting, or duplicating, that those options also exist within the edit menu. We see them as cut, delete, copy, paste, or duplicate, as well as their keyboard shortcuts for Windows using Control or Command using Mac. And so we can begin to manipulate audio through zooming in and out, selecting some audio, and then cutting it or silencing as we need it. Thanks for watching.